Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. If you will, again, like, share, comment on the post, and then if you are able, if you would, look with me in the book of Acts, chapter 23, beginning in verse 31. Paul is being delivered now to Felix, the governor, and we see God working all this out according to His plan. The Romans, the Jews, may think they are in charge, but we see that ultimately God is in charge. So the soldiers, verse 31, according to their instructions, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipatris. And on the next day they returned to the barracks, letting the horsemen go on with them. When they had come to Caesarea and delivered the letter to the governor, they presented Paul also before him. On reading the letter, he asked what province he was from. And when he learned that he was from Lycia, he said, "I will give you a hearing when your accusers arrive." And he commanded him to be guarded in Herod's praetorium. We see something happening here, kind of an overarching theme through this that isn't specifically stated, but if we look closely, it is happening, and that is God's sovereignty, God's will being accomplished in Paul making his way to Rome. Not only making his way to Rome, but the soldiers, no doubt, thought they were keeping Paul from escaping, when actually God was using them to protect Paul and to get him to the destination that he desired. If you remember our lesson last week from the book of Acts, chapter 22, about verse 17, when Paul was addressing the people and shared with them how his experience when he was praying in the temple and he was in the trance, and God told him to leave Jerusalem, and Paul told him, "But I can reach the Jews here. I can do something in Jerusalem." And God told him, "No, depart, for I will send you to the Gentiles." And here we see God, again, in His omnipotence, in His ability, is making that happen. And Jesus had said back in the book of Mark, if we look there, He told him, said, you should be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, and a testimony against them. That's exactly what God was doing here in Paul's life. He was working things out to accomplish his work. He wanted a witness. He wanted someone to speak to the powers of the world. And Paul fills that role. Paul has a unique opportunity here to proclaim the gospel before some of those powerful people in the world at that time. And so that was all part of God's plan to make this, to spread the gospel throughout the world. And again, he's also again, this by the things that happened to Paul, and the gospel gets in front of those who then carry it. Some of the guards that were chained to him, some other people who were audience, as Paul spoke to Felix, then they carried the gospel with them, and so unwittingly, the gospel is now being spread to the four corners of the world, to all the known world at the time, by Paul being in this circumstance. And we need to remember that ourselves, that God works in our situation, in our circumstances, to carry the gospel, to get the word of God into the places it needs to be. Your pastor may never have an opportunity to ever meet or speak with your employer or your co-workers or some of your family, but God has placed you in positions in His providence, in your family, in your neighborhood, in your workplace, that you might carry the gospel to places that missionaries and pastors may never have to go. And so today I want to ask you to be alert and to watch for those situations, those opportunities to bear witness to Christ in unusual places.